spearheading initiatives to establish a vibrant community of cat parents and industry experts through meaningful conversations like the one we're having today, knowledge sharing sessions, learning opportunities, all of which are geared towards nurturing a deeper understanding of cat needs and behaviors. With today's event, we hope to shed light on the mysterious behavior of cats with our guest expert, Amanda Tong. Amanda is India's first clinical animal behaviorist and one of the very few feline cat behavior experts found in India. Amanda and I go way back when I first started Curious Cat Company in 2020 during COVID as a pet project. Amanda had recently returned from the UK, and we, both of us, had started a lot of knowledge sharing sessions to understand why cats do the things that they do. And to add to that, I am Vinda Dravid, your host for today and the founder of Curious Cat Company. So just a disclaimer before we start the session. This seminar is about understanding cat behavior and body language. We will not be answering any questions related to diet, nutrition, or health concerns. We advise you to contact your vet for resolving such concerns. A lot of you sent in a huge number of questions when you signed up. We received over 350 questions. We went through each and every one of them. And of course, we would love to answer each and every one, but we have only 1 hour today. So we've divided the questions into broad categories. If you have additional questions that won't be answered during the course of this seminar, please leave your questions in the chat on the YouTube Live, and we will pick them up at the end of the session for the last 10 minutes. This seminar is in collaboration with PopX Community, a supportive WhatsApp community for pet parents. You can also check them out on Instagram at PopX Community. If your cat is watching this session with you, don't forget to take a selfie, post it online, and tag Royal Canin on Instagram, as well as the Animal Behavior Academy, that is Amanda's page. And now let's get started with the session. Okay, so Amanda, let's clear this up once and for all. What do you mean by cat behavior expert? What do you do?
Yes, I get this question a lot. So yes, let's clear it up. I am essentially a translator. I am someone who explains to you what's going on in your cat's mind, why your cat is behaving the way that they do, and basically what to do so that you guys get along better. People come to me when there are relationship problems, and you're living with your cat, and then your cat decides to pee on your TV, for example. And now you're having a fight and you're not getting along. So you come to me and I explain to you why your cat is doing it, what we can do about it, and just translate things back and forth.
Amazing. Okay, that sounds very helpful. Cats are very mysterious beings, and all of us love cats, but we have no clue what they do. In fact, I feel like while dogs and cats are the two most important household pets in India today, cats are fast becoming the most preferred pet in terms of the rate of adoption. They're quickly catching up. However, cats and dogs are very different. And the approach to having them as a pet is vastly different. And that's what confounds so many people. It's very confusing. So as a behavior expert, how is being a cat parent different than being a dog parent?
Right. I think it sums it up in one of the most common things I hear people say, which is a complete myth, by the way. People say, oh, cats are so low maintenance. You don't have to do anything. They just, they're just there. They're just hanging out. So to kind of contrast this, I would say that you're looking specifically at a different species. That's like saying monkeys are low maintenance compared to fish. It doesn't make sense. you're dealing with two completely different species. And I think a really good guideline here to understand how to take care of the pet or how to maintain your pet is to understand what that species is meant to do. And that basically means that with dogs, over the years, we have bred dogs to, kind of suffice certain needs to do a particular job. For example, German Shepherds were literally shepherd dogs. They would like herd sheep. So their breed and their characteristics go very much in line with what they were bred to do. Cats, on the other hand, for all these years, we have found that there's really no need to change anything about our cats. The first time we met cats was when they would hunt rats for us, like 10,000 years ago, 20,000 years ago. And they just were perfect as they are. And we said, great, like you're very cute. You can live with us. You solve our rat problem. And the cat said, great. And that was it. So that being said, like your cat at home is like to their heart an absolute hunter. And we've never had to change that. So I think looking at, okay, I have a hunter in my home versus I have, like, say, a companion dog, like a Labrador, the way that you'd approach it would be very different. So, yeah.
What is unfair is they look so cute and cuddly while being hunters, and then you just want to go cuddle and hug and play with them, and that is not what they are made for, basically. That's the big problem here. That they don't
Sorry,
allow you
Vinda,
to
I
cuddle.
can't hear you. Hello?
Oh, you cannot. Can you hear me
Yeah.
now?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was saying that that is the big problem, right? They look so cute and cuddly. You want to always pick them up and love them, but they are not companions. They are not made for that. They are hunters, and so they will scratch you. So I think what we all struggle with as a cat parent. I am a cat parent of two cats. I don't understand what my cat is feeling many a times. Some expressions are easy to decipher, some are very complicated. I know what I don't know what's going on in that little brain. So tell me, what are some of the easy signs to understand what my cat is feeling? Say, for example, happy.
Okay. So I think a lot of pet parents that are watching this will instantly agree with me when I say this. So when you see your cat, when you're going to go to feed your cat, they come running towards you, and there's a lot of high-pitched vocalization. So they're like meowing, so like, meow, meow. So like there's that high-pitched, like happy, like single meow, which is what cats are very famous for. And of course, they'll come running to you with their tail up, which will have like a small hook to it. So it kind of looks something like this. And when you see that, you know that your cat is very happy because they're about to be fed like the royalty that they are. So I think this is a really good sign that your cat's pretty happy right now.
That was a very good impression of a cat, I have to say. What is a sign that they're scared?
The first thing that comes to my mind is a hiss. This is very commonly misunderstood to be anger, which is not the case. When you see a cat that is hissing, they're basically showing you their teeth, and they're making like a sound, to kind of tell you to keep distance. And most often, like they're not, when your cat is hissing, their ears will be pulled back. So that means that they are kind of pulled back in itself. Their body might get really fluffed up depending on how scared they are in that moment. So hissing is a really, really good sign that your cat's scared. You'll see your cat hissing at the vet, maybe hissing towards another cat that you brought into the house. Hissing when you go and try to catch them to take them to the vet or the groomer, or if you're trying to cut their nails, things like that. If they've had like a bad experience, you'll see that hiss, which says, stay away or else I'll bite you.
What is a sign that they're stressed?
Ooh, okay, this is a tough one. Now the thing is that stress, or rather the manifestation of stress, can really change on an individual basis. So, Vinda, what do you do when you're stressed?
I try to isolate myself, and
Okay.
I just try to think. Yeah, I
So
don't
like a
want to be
cat.
around anyone. Yeah. Cat parents tend to become like their cats, I feel.
Yes. Yes. So you isolate yourself completely. For me, like I need to like say read a book or like watch something on Netflix. So we're both say dealing with stress, but the way that we deal with it, or rather what helps us like remove that stress tends to be a little bit more subjective. So this is where the expert of the pet parent comes in. So you need to know what is normal for your cat. You know, when your cat is happy, so you know that, okay, my cat's meowing, my cat's got their tail up with a hook, they're happy. And then suddenly I see that, okay, they're not doing these things that basically would indicate that they are happy. So it's kind of like a little bit of a lack of that. Sometimes cats will go into hiding when they're very stressed. Like, again, there's that, compilation of like, okay, fear, stress, pain, maybe. So if you see that your cat has removed themselves, they're hiding a lot, they're sleeping a lot, it's basically deviating from your norm. I'd say that would be a red flag to just see what's going on.
Okay. And finally, what is a sign that they are in pain?
Okay, so this one, let me just show you. Okay, so this is a very, very, very useful tool that every single cat parent out there has to be familiar with. If you see at the bottom, I've just attached the link to the website. It's something called the Feline Grimace Scale. This is a scale, or rather, like a study was done to look at the facial expressions of a cat. So, for example, Vinda, if you were just, walking around your house and you say stepped on like a stone and it like poked your foot, what would your facial expression be? Like, yeah, okay, exactly. So there's that reaction to pain that is expressed on your face. Now, because well, different species, different, like the anatomy of their face will be different. So this is what a cat that is in pain ideally looks like. And that facial expression is something that you've really got to keep an eye out for. And this website provides a lot of free training and a lot of free resources for cat parents to get really good at understanding when a cat is in pain and maybe when the cat's just sleepy or closing their eyes anyway.
Is purring a sign that they may be in pain? Because it's such a dual feature, right? I've heard that they purr when they're happy, but they may also purr if they are sick or healing. Is that
Yes.
true?
Absolutely. And this is something that not a lot of people know. So, I mean, I think working with me for all these years, now you know all these like hacks and
Yes.
secrets. But yes, purring is not only when your cat is happy. That purring frequency, the sound of the vibrations, is a very healing thing for the cat. So when the cat's not well, you'll notice that they will purr to allow themselves to feel better. They will also purr when they are stressed. So yeah, you really need to look at the context surrounding the cat to understand whether the purring is because they're happy or not. So it's not just the purr, you have to look at like a lot of other factors too.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to ask you a question that bothers me personally quite a lot. Having been a cat parent for the last 6-7 years or more, I feel I still struggle with this. Cuddle time with my cat is a one-way street. It happens only when my cat wants to cuddle with me and not when I want to. Is there any way that I can train my cat to cuddle or love me more?
Yes, that is the $1,000,000 question, isn't it? So the short answer is compromise. I wouldn't say yes, I wouldn't say no, because I have had cases where the cats have absolutely disliked any kind of touch. And then with a couple of months of training, now this cat is a lap cat and, just like loves the cuddles. But it really depends on multiple things. So I'll just talk about that. Now, first things first, it helps to know where your cat is okay to be touched versus where they are not. So this particular study kind of spoke about the different areas of the cat's body where they found that cats were reacting positively, like 99% of the time. And if obviously you guys already know this, it's the head region, the chin region, because when you pet your cat here, they kind of close their eyes like they're enjoying it. But if you try to give them a belly rub, you're probably going to get slapped. But that being said, there are cats out there that enjoy, like if you like kind of rub their flank, that's the area like above their tail, you just do that, and then their butt kind of raises and they look like they're enjoying it. Some cats also like belly rubs. And that will mainly come with socialization. So if you have a kitten and you are teaching them that, okay, touching these areas, it means that something good is coming. So you do it for like maybe 2 seconds and then you stop. So self-control in the process of teaching your cat that, okay, positive handling is a thing, like when I pet you, it doesn't mean that I'm going to hug you forever and keep kissing you until you hate me, because that does happen. Because they are very cute. So, sometimes you do need to hold back a little bit to increase the value of that petting. So sometimes clients come to me and they say, my cat's just not coming. I'm calling my cat. I'm trying to pet my cat. The cat's just avoiding me left, right, and center. And my first piece of advice to them is ignore your cat for the next 2 days. No affection. You need to play hard to get for a change. And it's so hard. Like I have to like talk them through it. Of like, come on, just like, just power through. Like we're almost at the end of the 2 days. But what tends to happen is the cat says, okay, wow, like I actually like being touched because it's been so long that somebody's kind of given me a head scratch. So then the cat comes up and then there's like a little bit of like, okay, pet me. Okay, now I'm going to go away. And then the owner says, yeah, leave, no problem. So I think that's something that you can train with and you can work with. So there's definitely hope.
Okay. I think that advice works just as well on cats and humans. I think they're the same. We have to treat them as individuals, right?
Yes.
I'd just like to point out, guys who are on the chat, we will take questions at the end of the questions that we've already narrowed down from 350 questions that we've already received during the sign up process. And in the last 15 minutes, we will take questions from the chat. So you can leave your questions there. And if any have not been answered, we'll obviously, be happy to get to them. Okay, we're going to move on to the next one. So, no one can stop at having one cat. Once you've adopted a cat, I think it's very difficult to stop. And that is how I got my second cat. And during COVID, I had befriended it was a whole fellowship of cats. Okay, I had a Harry Potter team and a Lord of the Rings team, and everyone was my friend. But it was very difficult when I got my second cat home, when I already had one cat living with me. And this is one of the most common questions that we've received is, how does one introduce a new cat to a cat that's been around for a while and overcome that cat aggression and get them to be friends?
Yeah. So Vinda, do you have another 3 hours to finish this talk?
Summarize in 5 minutes.
Summarize. Okay. All right. Summary is first things first, before you get a second cat, you need to be pretty sure that the cat that you have wants a friend. Some cats are very happy to be by themselves, and like they find a lot of comfort in human companionship. So for example, if your cat was an orphan kitten, never really been socialized to other kittens, if your cat has been a solo cat for 4 years, and has been used to like having the run of the house without any sharing going on, that cat might be less likely to accept another cat because they've kind of gotten used to a certain way of life. And however, if you still think that, okay, maybe my cat is going to be receptive, it's super important, and like the golden rule for any introductions is you have to go slow. Cat introductions is not the same as human introductions. So if, for example, we were meeting for the first time, I would come up to you and say, hi, Vinda, I'm Amanda. And then maybe I'd like shake your hand, maybe. So it's like a verbal introduction. I'm also seeing you face to face. And then there's that little bit of like a handshake. There's that little bit of touch, which all happens in like a minute. Whereas with cats, sometimes it can take a week of just smelling this other cat. So the smell part is the first step to any introduction. You literally have to keep the new cat apart from the other, like the cat that you have at home. And I'm just going to share this image on the screen. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah. Okay, so this is like a rough diagram of sorts of the areas that produce something called pheromones. Okay, pheromones are essentially, let's just say, they are the smell glands for the cat. So it releases the smell of this particular cat. So when your cat is rubbing their head against you, as you can see, they focus these glands on your leg or on your hand. And that is what puts the smell. It's not just smell in general, it's from a specific gland on the cat's body. And not a lot of people know this. So they just assume that, okay, cats have a great sense of smell. Maybe they've smelled each other. But it has to be from these particular glands. So basically, things that the cat scratches. Scratch posts can be swapped, making sure that the new cat and the resident cat, their areas are being swapped so that they can get a chance to really smell each other for like a week without even coming in contact with each other. Because normally what happens is, if you come into contact directly, so in the cat world, if a new cat comes into this territory and directly makes eye contact, is put directly in front of like the resident cat, do you know what that means in the cat world? It means I'm gonna take your home. I'm gonna take all your food and take all your litter boxes, and it's a threat. So you really want to go slow with it so that your cat realizes that, okay, I'm not being invaded. I'm not being kicked out of my home. It's a very, very scary process for the resident cat. So you really got to go slow. Hope that answers summary.
Sort of. But there's a second part to this question. Now that the cats have been introduced and they are living fine, they've been around each other for a while, maybe even months to years. But how do you ensure that peace is maintained, not just once they're introduced, but also later on?
Sorry, Vinda, lost you again. Can you say something?
How do you ensure? Can you hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Oh, God. Can you hear me, Amanda? Amanda?
Yeah, I lost you. Your video is frozen. Hello?
Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sorry, guys. Technical glitches. The second part to the question is, how do you ensure peace is maintained and there is a happily ever after? Even after the introduction is done, they're happy, and then there is a happily ever after forever.
Yeah. So overall, with the multi-cat household, you really need to make sure that there are enough resources to go around. I'm not sure if you can hear me. You've frozen up completely. Hello?
I can hear you. Continue.
Hello?
Continue.
Oh, okay. You can hear me, see me, all good?
I can, absolutely.
Oh, okay. Okay, brilliant. Sorry. Right. So, basically, to maintain like peace in your multi-cat household, or for example, is if you have gotten two cats at the same time, so two brothers, and you've adopted them together, in order to make sure that they stay like happy in this relationship, it's very important that the house that you are setting up for them, so your house, has enough resources to go around. So that means you need to make sure that you're feeding your cats separately. Should not be fed together. Water bowls also should be spaced out in your house. Litter boxes should not be placed side by side. You need to make sure that whatever your cat considers valuable, It could be like a shelf or the top of your fridge or a spot in the sun, like an area on your balcony to watch birds. All these places should be in abundance as much as possible. And you just need to make sure that your cats are not competing for anything, because the second you bring in competition, just like with human siblings, for example, you tell, the child that, okay, you have to compete with your brother or sister for the toys that you have. So automatically there's that tension in the relationship that builds, and it's the same for cats.
Okay. So following up on this, we got some really strange questions that did not make sense to me, absolutely. And guys on the chat, again, I'd like to remind you that we already received over 350 questions when people signed up for this chat. We are trying to answer those first, and in the last 15 minutes, we will be happy to take questions from the chat if they are not already answered. So following up on the last answer, one of the very strange questions was, and I can see that in the chat as well, cats that have been best friends or brothers or sisters from the same litter who were getting along perfectly have suddenly started fighting with each other. Why would this happen?
Yes. Yes, I cannot tell you the number of times I also get calls from people saying, like, help, my cats just suddenly broke out into this absolutely, intense, very, very serious fight. There's blood, there's urine, there's feces. It's not like, it's so sudden and it's so out of character. Now, this is basically an instance of something we call redirected aggression. When you like basically have cats that are getting along just fine, and suddenly there's something that goes on. In most cases that we've seen, it's normally related to another cat that is outside. So you can have two cats living like inside, and there's a feral cat who maybe comes and like looks in from the window or from the door. And then there's suddenly that burst of aggression that comes for the cats inside. This basically means that one of the cats is getting very stimulated. So the heart rate is going up. There's a lot of anxiety at that point. They're very worried. They're very scared. And it gets redirected onto whichever cat happens to be nearby. Also, we see this when you bring your cat back from a sterilization surgery, and the cat comes back and they're still kind of under the phase, like the effects of the anesthesia. And then the cats have a fight at home. Whereas the vet, I think Binda, yeah, okay, I'm just gonna, all okay?
My electricity just came and went, and I don't know if it has anything to do with the terrible weather conditions we're facing currently.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so sorry, guys.
Yeah, no problem.
Please continue. Yeah.
Yes. Right. So I was saying that when you bring your cat back from the vet, when they've just undergone, a surgery. So most commonly, it's like the neutering or the spaying surgery. You might see like hesitation in between like your two cats. So they'll be hissing, and sometimes it can break out into a big fight. Sometimes they just deal with it and they move on. Also, if you've taken your cats for, say, a dental scaling surgery, and again, there's an anesthesia being administered at that point, and then your cats come back, they could fight. So you must keep them separate whenever you come back from the vet. It's just precaution. Mainly we see this with cases where the cats already have some pre-existing, anxiety or stress, or if your cat is just anxious in general, you're more at risk for something like this to happen. So, word of advice to everybody listening, in case this has happened to you, it's happened to a friend, or you do have two cats at a home and it's never happened to you, bless. What you must do at this point is, in case you see anything like this, your cat's suddenly getting very fluffed up, suddenly making a lot of like low vocalizations. So they'll be like, "Wah." So like stuff like that basically tells you that something's not quite right now. So the first thing you need to do is immediately separate them, put them in a different room, make the room darker if you can, just keep them apart until things have settled. And yeah, just hope that it doesn't explode after.
Okay. Um, Now, the great thing about cats is that they come toilet trained from birth. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
You take a kitten, you get a kitten home, you put a litter box, and the kitten knows that they have to go and pee and poop and do their business in the litter box and nowhere else. Okay.
Yeah.
However, we receive the maximum number of questions about cats going outside the litter box, even though there are enough number of litter boxes or for whatever. So, are they being naughty? Are they seeking revenge, or is there something more behind this strange behavior?
Yeah. So first things first, whenever you notice that your cat is going pee or poo outside the litter box, the first thing you have to do, regardless of anything, is take them to the vet. Medical causes for not using the litter box are very, very high. So the first thing you need to do is rule that out. Now, assuming you have gone to the vet and the vet has said there's nothing medical here, your cat is completely healthy. In that case, there are a couple of other reasons. So it helps to understand the pattern through which your cat is urinating outside the box. So sometimes you will get cases where the cat stops using the box completely. And in this case, mostly medical if the cat is going out. But again, you have to rule it out. You can't just look at it and say, yeah, it's medical. Um, Sometimes you get cases where the cat is sometimes using the box, sometimes not using the box, or only using the box to pee but pooping outside, or vice versa. In that case, again, you need to look at the pattern. So I'm just going to help you guys understand a bit about the pattern and what possible causes there could be. Okay. Now, first thing is stress. Okay. So if your cat has experienced a particularly stressful incident, for example, your birthday party, and you've called over all your 100 friends, and they are just partying till 4 in the morning, and your cat gets really stressed. And then the next day you notice that there is a puddle of pee, a puddle of pee somewhere. And then it doesn't happen again after that. That's telling you that the cat was so stressed in that moment that they kind of had to go outside their box. And this is that expression of stress. The cat is communicating that something is not right here. Okay. So that's your one-off incident. Now, if, for example, you notice that your cat is choosing certain textures, and we see this when it comes to like cats urinating on the bed, on the sofa, on a pile of laundry that you just cleaned and put like on the ground or whatever. And you notice this pattern of texture, not on the floor, not anywhere else, just on the soft textures. Sometimes that's telling you that the cat is not happy with their current litter box, and that they want something softer to go on. You'll also have some in some cases where it can be medical and the cat is looking for a soft like texture to potentially help relieve pain. But again, you have to check with the vet to draw this conclusion. But in most cases like this, it's dissatisfaction with the box. So your cat saying that either like the box is not like good enough, soft enough. Sometimes certain litters are very disturbing, so they have fragrances in it. Then that's a problem. So like your lavender and your other fragrances are not cat friendly. They are more for the human to cover up odor essentially, and it's bothering your cat. So you also have cats that are have a shorter nose. So those breeds like your Persians, exotic short hairs, where the litter might bother them if it's too dusty or too fragrant, and it's just a very horrible experience to go to the toilet in that spot. So they start to find another surface. And sometimes you'll also see this with closed litter boxes, that the cats are not very happy with that. So mostly this is your reason. Again, you'll have to just check. But if you notice that this is the pattern, this is the trend, you can try to replace your litter, change the situation, clean your box more often. Because your cat says your bed is so very clean. My litter box is stinking. So just make some changes. Now, on the other hand, if you notice that your cat is going in multiple textures, different locations, just really spreading it all around your house. Um, in this case, first thing I would ask you is, do you have any other cats at home? If you do, then it's possible that your cat is doing something called territory marking of sorts, where they are using their urine or their feces to send a message to the other cats in the house. And then it's not about the texture, because they're not looking. So you'll see one is on the floor, one is on your plant, one is on the clothes, one is on the jute rug, for example. So then you see that there's no common texture. Instead, it's about the location of the spots. So if you draw like a little map of your house and you just X mark the spots that your cat tends to go the most in, they're sending a message to your other cats, essentially. And if you don't have other cats, but you have feral cats that are outside, that are looking into your home, you might notice that the urination will happen like on the curtains, near the windows, near the entrances, things like that. So it's a very strategic way of kind of communicating with other cats. So yeah, like going to the toilet is not just going to the toilet for your cat. It's much more than that. So an understanding of this should help you. But just one like last line that I have to say about this is that your cat is not misbehaving. It's not that your cat knows that, oh, I'm doing something wrong. And therefore, by shouting at your cat, you're actually teaching your cat to hide the pee and the poo from you, or make sure that you're not around when it happens. So you're potentially making the situation a lot worse by labeling your cat, as a bad cat, or like, oh, it's trying to take revenge on me. But it's not about you. So yeah.
Okay, just because while we were talking about this, there were a lot of questions that were also related to peeing and pooping everywhere, but whether they're neutered or not. So,
Yeah.
since you mentioned marking territory, would the situation change if the cat is neutered? Would they still
Right.
be marking territory?
Yeah. So the thing is that not neutered male cats, and like not sterilized female cats are more likely to mark their territory, because they are sending out messages that they're looking, for a date. They're also potentially, marking the space to like give themselves as many resources, kind of stay safe, all of that. So the likelihood goes up because there's a purpose in mind. They're looking to mate. They're sending out messages accordingly. So yes, you will have like a lot of houses where the cats are not neutered and there's urine everywhere, and it's stinky. It's really, really stinky. So yes, neutering your cat at that point should resolve it. In most cases, it does. But you need to be careful to not let it go on for too long that now it becomes a habit. And then you
Hmm.
neuter your cat after, say, 2 years of dealing and cleaning with this urination everywhere. Um, yeah, so it is related to that. But you can still have cases where the cat is neutered and they're still urinating, but that's mainly out of social stress. So it's about the interfighting, because cats still consider a resource valuable. Food is still important whether or not they're neutered. You know what I mean? So like that sense of territorialness will still come about, but it will be much less.
So, in this case, where it is about territory marking, whether they're neutered or not, what does one do to stop it?
Long answer.
Can you do anything? Firstly,
Yes, of course. There are things that you can do, and that's what we just spoke about. So we spoke about looking for that pattern of like, okay, this is why my cat is doing it. So in case you've noticed this pattern, you know that now it's about social stress. Your cats are like fighting of sorts because they are having to compete for resources in your house, or because your litter boxes are kept side by side and they are fighting, and say one cat is not allowing the other one to go near the litter box, like he's just staring him down. So there are many reasons for social stress, so my advice would be to sort that out. Make sure you're cleaning your house properly with an enzymatic cleaner and not just Dettol or Savlon. So yeah.
Okay. So we have quite a lot of cat parents watching this. Can you quickly summarize before we move on to the question and answer from the chat? What is that one thing, okay? The one absolute thing you must do every single day to keep your cat happy every day, non-negotiable.
Right. I mean, I obviously won't say something like feed your cat because that's obvious, I hope. So yeah, I think the one thing that you must absolutely do is play with your cat. At the end of the day, your cat is a hunter, as we had spoken about, like right in the start of this conversation. Hunter being that, they are so like they have that instinct so like strong in them that you absolutely have to play with them. So the playing that you see, so the toys that you get in the market today, the way that your cat plays is actually a hunt. You're looking for toys with feathers. You're looking for toys that look like small mice. So you're literally trying to recreate, a hunting experience. So I tell this to all my clients, and like whenever we do sessions about like play and stuff, we always say, don't say I'm gonna play with my cat. Say I'm gonna take my cat for a hunt. And that really changes your perspective about the way that you do it. So making sure that the prey or the toy that you're using, it's running away from the cat, and it's not something that you're just dangling in front of their face all the time. So then the cat's just doing this the whole time, and they're not really getting any exercise. They're not tapping into that hunting instinct. So I think this is really important, especially as your cat grows older. Kittens are very easy to play with because they will play with you no matter what you do. Even if you don't want to play with them, they're playing. But adult cats, I think they get the short end of the straw for this. No pun intended. But basically what they do is they just get older and they just calm down a bit more. They're not as active. So people like take it for granted. They say, okay, maybe he doesn't want to play it today. But I would say that it's your responsibility as a cat parent to create a good hunting environment, something serious. Like use your cardboard boxes, or like just really change your toys, make the experience exciting for your cat. And yeah, I think that would be a non-negotiable thing.
Okay. So now that all the questions that we've received have been answered from the sign up list,
Yeah.
we're going to move on to the chat where people have been waiting very patiently to have their questions picked. So I'm, of course, not going to pick up questions that may have been answered in this chat and pick out those that sound a little different. So one question that stands out is, so this cat parent took the cat to the vet many times. There were a lot of vet visits, and that created a lot of anxiety. And now suddenly the behavior of the cat has changed towards the cat parent, and there is no engagement, and it's very, how does one get the cat back to being happy after a stressful vet time?
Yeah. It's about rebuilding that trust. At the end of the day, your cat doesn't know or doesn't realize that taking this deworming tablet is good for me, and you're doing it for me. You're not doing it against me. Your cat possibly thinks that you're poisoning them in the process. So at the end of the day, like you need to really focus on creating less forceful methods for care, as much as possible. Of course, there are limits to it, but for example is making sure that your vet or you don't scruff your cat. So scruffing of the cat basically means that you grab the skin at the back of the cat's neck, and that is the method you use to restrain the cat. This is actually proven to be very, very harmful for cats. It causes a lot of fear and a lot of stress, and it's a very old, outdated method of restraint, which is no longer the case. And of course, people say, well, the mother cat picks up the kitten like that. But that is basically to activate, a particular reflex that is present in kittens only up till 4 to 5 weeks of age. After that, that reflex goes away, because now the mother no longer needs to transport the kittens to safety, for example. And then now your kitten is becoming an adult cat, and there's no need to be picked up like that any longer. So the reflex goes away. So that means that if you are picking up an adult cat like that, it's almost like somebody choking you and carrying you around somewhere. Like, why would you trust somebody who does that to you? Do you know what I mean? Now, of course, there's a lot of misinformation out there. So you might have scruffed your cat in the past. So there are ways to obviously make up for it. You have to make sure that when you're traveling with your cat, or if you go to the vet, that you no longer scruff, you're using like a burrito wrapping method instead with your towel. And just overall making that experience less stressful. Possibly training your cat to, sit in the carrier, go to the vet. It's a process, but it's definitely something that you can do to rebuild that.
Okay, so and is there anything that she can do in the house itself, in day-to-day life, when there is no vet visit happening, just
Yeah,
to
just
rebuild trust and love?
yeah, you have to give the cat space. So same thing we had spoken about. If
Yes.
there's been a bad experience, don't try to make amends by hugging or kissing the cat or saying sorry or whatever. Just give them space, feed them, but take your distance. Just allow them to slowly retrust you by kind of going on about your routine as you normally do. Treats always help if your cat can take that, but yeah.
Okay, great. One question that is sort of related to something we've already discussed, but slightly different, is the elder cat hits and hates the younger cat. It's not improving. They've tried quite a lot of things and they're very confused. And it's been 5 years since this is happening. So is there any hope that
Yeah.
they can be friends?
So cat fighting and cat play can sometimes overlap. So you can have a cat that is initially starting to play, and then it could turn into something negative, and then they split. Unless your cats, so one good way to tell the difference is that when your older cat is interacting with your younger cat, if there are any vocalizations, um, low vocalizations, hissing, these particular vocalizations are happening during contact, then I'd say that, okay, something's not right here. If, for example, they've been interacting, and I could literally mean that they're grabbing each other's necks and kicking each other, and it looks really violent. But unless there are sounds that are like going along with this, it's most likely that your cat is playing with your other kitten or cat. If they've drawn blood from each other, or if it's been bad experiences for 5 years now, it makes sense to separate them for some time. Again, just giving them time to kind of work through it. This is my Instagram handle, so whoever asked that question, in case you're still not sure, you can send me a couple of videos of your cats together. I'll just take a look and we'll see.
Great. What does excessive biting mean? And not just the cat parents, but tables, lamps, chairs, everything when she's excited, when the cat is excited.
Excessive biting. Okay. Is your cat swallowing the objects that they are biting? So if they, for example, whoever asked this question, if your cat is, say, biting the bed sheet, are you finding holes, and is the cat like ingesting it, or is it just biting in general? You'll have to just ask.
Okay, not written, but would it be a part of their teething process since it's a 4-month kitten?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's normal.
Yes. So if your kitten, like if you got like under, say, I'd say even 6 months of age, if there's just a lot of biting left, right, and center, no matter what, all the time, then yes, it is mostly related to teething. But I would just also like to take this opportunity to clear up something that everybody seems to be spreading around here, is that, oh, it's teething, it's just a phase, it'll go away. No, like not really. If your kitten practices it a lot, it's just going to carry on into adulthood. So you need to be really careful that your kitten is biting the right things and not biting your hand, your hair, your leg, because then it just becomes something that the kitten says, "Oh, you're okay with it. You like it when I do this." So yeah, you just need to be a little careful about that.
Okay. Can you describe the different tail positions and what they might mean, since only one was covered in the talk?
Yeah. So obviously tail up is generally a little bit happier. Tail tucked in between the legs is fearful, I'd say. It's like a more extreme expression of that fear. A swishing tail. So tail movements generally indicate like physiological stimulation. It means that, so when you like this, it tells you that the cat is ready to do something. Now, ready to slap you, ready to run after a toy, ready to run out of the house. It depends. So it means that your cat is active. So you need to obviously assess and see what ready to means in that situation. But a moving tail does not, like, it means that your cat is not relaxed. They're active, they're ready. There's something like exciting going on. Because you will see a tail that is swishing during playtime. And then you'll also see a tail that is swishing before a fight or before you get slapped. So, yeah.
Okay. Why? And so many questions about this. My cat comes to me only at night and demands to be petted and also needs a lot. And then we have to wake up and pet, and then she goes away after some time. Is this normal? Is there any way to stop it, or is it okay to encourage?
Yeah. So kneading, there's nothing like, this is otherwise known online as making biscuits. But normally there's nothing really wrong with this behavior. This is generally something a cat would do to relax themselves, and just calm down in the process. So if your cat is needing some, no pun intended, but if your cat is needing some kind of affection before they go to bed, it might be a good idea to incorporate, like, say, a 2 minute, 5 minute grooming session before you go to bed. So, like, take a brush or even with your hand and just kind of like pet your cat, pet your cat, pet your cat until they kind of calm down and go to sleep, especially if that's something that they're asking for on a daily basis. So that way they won't have. Hello?
I'm here.
Yeah.
I can hear you. Okay.
Is it my internet or is it yours? I don't know.
I cannot tell. Maybe someone in the chat could tell us. Okay. Anyway, we are about 7 minutes away from ending this. Amanda, is there anything else that you'd like to add that we've not already covered? Any other tips, advice on cat behavior?
Um, I think we've covered quite a bit, like little sections for everything. In the future, I will also be doing more talks, just about specific topics, so we can really dive deep into that.
Yeah.
Even right now, the body language thing that we just spoke about was like brushing the surface. As we were talking about, it's like taking a teaspoon and like taking a little bit of like ocean water and saying, oh, this is it. So there's a lot more. So for the cat parents that are out there that are curious, that want to learn more about their cats, definitely like check out my Instagram page. There's going to be more information about stuff like that. So yeah, I think if there are more questions, we can address those. But I don't think there's anything additional like that I can think of right now.
Okay. Why do cats rub so much? Is it only food or anything serious?
Yeah. Why do cats rub so much?
Rub against humans, perhaps? Is that what you want to ask, Shikha?
Okay.
I think so.
Right. So just to come back to this slide, the rubbing of the head, otherwise known as bunting, is basically something that your cat will do when they want to put that smell on you. And essentially, it's to help them feel calmer. It's because their smell brings about a sense of security. Um, so if your cat is rubbing their head on you, that is a big compliment. They will not do it just to anybody. So yeah, good job, I guess.
They trust you. They love you.
Yeah.
Okay. A couple of questions on, the cat is really comfortable at home, but when they take the cat somewhere else, the cat gets very aggressive, does not recognize the cat owners, and becomes and probably hides. Is this normal, or is this something concerning?
Yeah. So this is mainly because of a lack of socialization to the outside world. So for example, if you like, okay, this comes to mind during the whole COVID time when we were spending so much time indoors, not socializing. The first time that you went out and socialized afterwards, it was a bit overwhelming, right? Because it's not something that you were used to for, like, say, 6 months or 7 months or however long. um, and that being said, like, imagine if your entire world just consisted of your home. The second you were taken out into unfamiliar territory, it's scary. So as a pet parent, it makes sense, or it helps your cat in the future to expose them to the outside world in small doses, like, from a young age. If you have an older cat who really panics, it would be very helpful to carrier train them. And you don't have to use the hard shell carrier, but you get these mesh bags, not the plastic ones, the mesh ones for cat travel. It's like a backpack or like a gym bag and stuff like that. So that way you are taking a piece of the cat's home with them. There's that element of smell, that element of familiarity. It is also a darker bag, so they are covered in the bag, as opposed to those transparent bags that are just the worst. So yeah, it just helps them feel more secure when they're going out. Maybe start literally just taking your cat for a walk around your building before you start, say, taking them to a friend's house. So gradually just expose them and make sure that it's positive or relatively neutral. You're not only going out when you go to the vet, for example.
Okay. On that note, there's another question about walking your cat. But before that, we'd just like to clarify once again that we are only going to answer questions related to behavior and body language. Anything that is related to health, diet, nutrition, or medical concerns, you must ask your vet, because Amanda is a clinical animal behaviorist and not someone who can answer your medical problems, including food, hernia, hanging belly, anything else, even related to grooming. It would be advisable to first consult your vet if you have any kind of confusion. On that note, Amanda, is it possible to take a cat out for a walk? Because my cat, when I've tried to put a harness, just falls over like an overloaded truck and refuses to move.
Right. So yes and no, I would say. Now the thing is that cat harnesses are different from dog harnesses, or rather, taking a cat for a walk is very different from taking a dog for a walk. The harness is not ensuring that your cat cannot escape, unfortunately, because cats are very agile, they're very flexible. They can basically dislocate like a shoulder, like their shoulder, in a way that allows them to escape from very, very tiny spaces. So harness is not protecting your cat from anything. In fact, it's just a time, like you're just buying yourself time, that in case the cat is attempting to escape, you have a few more seconds to kind of wrap the cat, pick the cat up. That being said, there is again that element of socialization coming in. If you have a cat that has never been outside before, now suddenly you see on Instagram that cats are being walked, and you decide that, great, let me walk my cat. It's probably going to be very overwhelming. Especially if you're living in a city area. You're going to have traffic, you're going to have dogs, you're going to have people. Like, it's going to be very risky, I would say. So that being said, using your like bag to carry or train your cat, or to your carrier, to teach them about the world outside. And then, for example, is if you go to a friend's house and it's safe, the windows are closed, netted, whatever, and then your cat can come out and you use your leash. That's a safer way to go about it.
Okay. But is it possible, lots of questions on this, is it possible to train a cat the way that you train a dog to listen to you and your commands?
Yeah. So with cats, I think the word wouldn't be commands, because there's
Never.
definitely never, it's not going to be, I command you to do this and your cat says, your wish is my command. That's probably not going to happen. But it's basically using this like similar concepts in dog training, which is your learning theory, which basically means that your cat learns that doing this gets rewarded. And that being said, yes, there are a lot of my clients that we work on training. The cat has learned to climb on your shoulder on command, as we say, or like to sit down, to give a high five, to solve a puzzle, to do a spin, to like jump through a hoop, and all of those things. Now, there's a lot of preconceived thoughts, I'd say, that training is restrictive, or that training your cat means that you're taking away freedom, you're trying to control your cat. But that is like the exact opposite of what training is. Training is basically teaching your cat that, these words mean something. You're almost like strengthening your bond with your cat. You're understanding them better. They are understanding you better in the process of it. And yeah, your a cat that is being trained is actually a much happier cat because there's so much more going on. That being said, even if you are not actively training your cat is probably training you, or you are training your cat, but you just don't know it. Now, to give you an example, we had spoken about the kitten that was biting everywhere, right? So if, for example, I had a kitten that was like biting my hands and my legs or pulling on my hair, and I said, hey, here's a treat. Here, distract yourself with a toy. I'm actually rewarding this hair biting that's going on. So many times when I hear someone say, oh, I'm distracting my cat from doing this behavior, I'm distracting them with all these rewards, you are possibly training your cat to do that. And yes, this happens more often than we realize. But yeah, very
So what
smart.
should one
Cats are very
do?
smart.
They're amazing. They keep doing this to get that treat again and again. But
Yes.
what should one do to distract them or to not strengthen that behavior without giving a treat?
Yeah, that's a discussion for another day.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, because I mean, you like, what are you distracting them from? What's going on? Why are they doing it? There's some like, follow-up questions. So I don't think like that's something that can really be answered right now. But as like, just to give you a rough example, with the kitten that was biting your hands or your hair. First things first, why is the cat doing that? And the answer would be teething. The cat's in pain. The cat is supposed to bite things at this age. So instead of like, it's about the timing. If the cat bites my hair and I instantly give a toy, I'm waiting for this biting of the hair to happen for me to give the toy. And it's those two things that get linked together. Biting of the hair, here's a toy. Biting of the hair, here's a toy. Now, if you think about it, that's very similar to how we train our dogs. So we say sit, the dog sits, here's a reward. Those two things are very closely in time together. So in that case, if I have a cat that is chewing on my hair or biting my hand, it means that I, as a pet parent, need to cater to those needs earlier on. My cat needs to bite something. I'm going to give my kitten lots of toys to bite and play and chew on. You never reach this point, if that makes sense.
And of course, there's a lot of investigation to be done beyond it and retraining and a lot of other things, which I do not think we have time for, unfortunately, right now. Um, so, guys, I'm sorry we cannot take any more of the questions in the chat because we were supposed to do this only till 5 p.m. However, you can follow Amanda on the handle that she has displayed on the screen on her Instagram. You can ask her questions if you want. Additionally, if you have questions about this seminar or you need more information about your cat's needs, nutrition, diet, you can visit royalcanin.com/in. You can also follow Royal Canin on Instagram. The handle is given. You can also give your feedback about the seminar. And if you want to see more of these, please email feedback.india@royalcanin.com. I'm sorry we couldn't cover all, but we tried our best. There were so many questions and the chat was just going on. And there were so many questions in the sign up form also. Amanda here, I just want to reiterate because someone asked what is her qualification. She is one of India's very few feline cat experts and the first clinical animal behaviorist of India. And she has grown from strength to strength. And she is now a celebrity feline behavior consultant, among many other things. So please feel free to reach out to her and stay tuned for more such seminars by Royal Canin. Thank you so much, Amanda, for doing this.
Thank you.
I
just want to say, yeah, you read my mind. We were so happy with the response for this webinar. Brinda and I were going through the questions. There were 350 plus questions. So really happy with the way that you guys are enthusiastic about it. The fact that you're even here today, I'm sure your cat will thank you, for like just basically growing and learning how to be a better cat parent. So thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure to be here.
Same here. So till next time, guys, thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.